technically live. Hopefully, you guys don't actually hear the mic scraping across the beard. We are actually live. Unfortunately, we had to use my phone, again, because of crappy upload speed. Something's bottlenecking the computer, and we're not really sure why it's bottlenecking. So, we're trying to figure that. We tried figuring this out for the past 2 weeks, especially within the past 2 days, actually. We've been trying to figure out what's been going on with the upload speeds. We actually did the test, the upload speed tests tonight, and we even lowered the speed to 480, and it still didn't work. We went back to YouTube when YouTube first started in 2007, and it still did not work. That's how bad this was, folks. That is how bad this was. So we're gonna let me set some things up here. So we had to do this, unfortunately. Hey, what's going on? I don't even think I can see the chat on this. So we'll share. There we go. So honest, set everything up. There we go. That works. So, yeah, this is where we are. This is where we are. We reached 1,000 subscribers last week. I think it was last Thursday. And I said we would do a live stream on Wednesday, or at least upcoming. Then we had these technical difficulties, and we tried working on it all day. And I said, no, we're going live. We're going live, as what's his name from Fox News said that one time. I can't remember. But anyway, we're here. We're here. Hey, Josiah. No worries. No worries. Glad you made it. Anyway, again, it should be on a computer. Unfortunately, it's not. So, okay, apparently I don't need that. I forget some of the things the last time we did on the phone because it wasn't supposed to be on the phone either. So, here we are. I really never thought that I would make it 1,000 subscribers, especially after a year. Since I don't have any, I do have video editing software finally, but I haven't got any like top tier video editing software, if that makes any sense. So I thought when I made all the content, most of my content is like paper form, like academic paper form, if that makes any sense. So I would just find a topic, write 5 or 6 pages on that particular topic, and then I would I would rehearse it a little bit, and then I would just do it straight through, 6 pages of me speaking straight through without a break. And boy, did that get agitating. And it was really, really, really cumbersome and tiresome. So I would be drained at the end of each time I recorded because of it. So really happy I got the video editing software. That helped tremendously. It's not top tier video editing software, but it's video editing software. And if you saw the recent Testament, the Story of Moses review that I did on the Netflix series, you can see the difference between my past videos and that current one, or my most recent one. So, and I think it's better. So, I'm actually using CapCut because it's just free for right now. So there are some features that are unavailable for me at the moment, unless I pay a subscription, which is upcoming here in a few weeks. I'm going to do it, so it'll allow more features. So, but until I can actually purchase video editing software, so unless anyone in the chat can have some recommendations on some better video editing software. I mean, even if it costs money, that's fine. I'm hands down for that. So, but that's what I use currently. Um, IP, Mike Jones is, I think he's recommended a couple of them to me. Um, so if you guys have any more, or maybe the same ones, which would be helpful because that would mean you have more than one person recommending a video editing software. So that would be a big plus. So, yeah, I'm glad I could actually do the phone thing horizontally too, because the last time I had to finagle something on the phone to actually just record, just to do the live stream, which was a pain because I think the phone fell. This time you can actually do it horizontally, so I'm kind of happy about that. Excuse me. So, um, yeah, that's where it was going with the whole thing. It's just like academic paper form and everything, and I thought, well, I'm not sure how this is going to go. But hey, here we are. I did do like live biblical Hebrew reading too, if you saw the channel. I did the whole book of Genesis. I read through the Hebrew in the book of Genesis from 1 to 50. That used to be live stream with no one in the chat because I was just starting out and didn't know what the heck I was doing. Lo and behold, over a year later, I still don't really know what the heck I'm doing. That was nervous laughter. So, um, yeah. Um, that's where we are. Forward progress again. We'll be coming out with the second episode for the review, probably this weekend on the Testament story of Moses. Can't wait for that, to be honest. I got a lot of good feedback from that, saying the first episode was pretty good. The second episode, I'm not sure if you guys have actually watched all three episodes of it. I've only watched the first two. I just watched the plagues, the episode on the plagues. Um, I'll reserve any comment on episode two for the video that's coming out this weekend, though. So I'm going to avoid any questions of that nature, probably, if you have any. So, um, yeah, that's what's going on. In the future, I'll be talking about Psalm 22, verse 16. I did start writing on that. I also started writing on the video already for the review, but I haven't finished it because I was starting to prep for this because I didn't think we'd reach 1,000 that fast. It was slow leading up to it until my last video, and then that just kind of broke it. So, but yeah, here we are. Not sure. I'm just waiting for more people to filter in if they do. If not, then this is just going to be a celebratory stream, and we're just going to sit and chill. Um, Unless someone has a topic that they would like to do. I didn't really choose a topic for this because, again, it was supposed to be celebratory, so it's just like it's open-ended like the last one. But when I start my Old Testament Chronicles and figure out all of this nonsense that's going on with the computer, I'll have a topic reserved. We'll probably start with Joseph because that was supposed to be the first one. Um, Specifically Genesis chapters 37 through 50. We're going to go through that, the first or the second episode of Old Testament Chronicles, which I'd like to start Monday, but I don't think we're going to take care of these upstream loads woes anytime soon. So, unless we just break down and buy a new computer. So, um, that's about the only way we're going to probably do this. I mean, we ran a firewall check. We ran virus check. We did a virus check. We ran our virus systems. There's no virus. The firewall like is nothing. It's minimum. And when we actually did test download speeds and upload speeds, the download speeds were perfectly fine, but the upload speeds were like they should be 10, which is straight up and down on your meter. They were more like on the left. I guess you guys would be over here. They were like on the left at 2 or 3 for upload streams. It was ridiculous. And my wife, aka the producer, I guess we could call her, to steal a page from Falk's channel. She spent hours and today and then yesterday on it and could not, for the life of her, Could not find the problem. Could not find it. She's got like she even ran it on Twitch. So that was even worse. So um thinking about McClellan saying that there was shoot, I meant to touch that. Um Maybe I should have the chat up here. So let me put that chat up, Shiru. I'm sorry. Let me bring up the chat here. So I can see that again. Apparently the chat just dings and then it vanishes. So what do you think about McClellan saying that there was no heaven or hell and it was only a creation made after the Jews' oppression in Rome? Yeah, I've actually heard that before, referring to probably either it started in Second Temple Judaism and then the New Testament writers rolled with it. Um, I really have difficulty thinking that there was simply no heaven or hell. Um, if I'm understanding the question right, that's what it's on. Is in the according to the New Testament, I think that's what McClellan was getting at, that there was no heaven or hell, and that hell was the oppression in Rome. That seems to run counter to Second Temple Judaism, especially the Apocrypha and First Enoch, and the word Eretz, which can mean underworld, as well as earth. There's again Hebrew words. As you guys know this, any word in any language has a semantic range. Sometimes they're small semantic ranges. Sometimes they're large semantic ranges. And the verb or the word for underworld is both for the earth. Eretz can mean earth, like land, and it can also mean underworld. So this idea that hell didn't exist, or at least there was no heaven or hell, and it was seems rather let's just say I disagree with it because there's just a lot of evidence, at least in Second Temple Judaism, for it. I think the Pentateuch hints at it, especially in the opening chapters of Genesis. Now, McClellan probably said these things because he holds to a late date of the Pentateuch. He thinks it's a Second Temple Judaic or Second Temple text. So more than likely, that is why he came up with that, or he arrived at that conclusion. So I also found it odd that he thinks he follows a northern hypothesis for the origin of Yahweh as well. But I did a short on that. So I will probably expand that video as well. So in the future. So any other questions here? I could talk a lot about it because I'm more of a Southern hypothesis proponent. We have so much evidence of so much archaeological evidence of Yahweh in the South Levant, Sinai, beginning with the Soleb inscription. I think what McClellan really talks about, he talked about this in one of his videos on the Northern Hypothesis, is that we have the names of Yahweh, or Yahweh's mentioned in onomastics throughout Assyria and Babylon. And I think that's where he comes with it. So I found it equally strange that he not only thinks that heaven and hell was a New Testament origin or a creation made after the Jews' oppression in Rome, but I also found it disturbing that, let me grab a cup of coffee here. I have something in my throat. Oh, so no heaven or hell in Jewish doctrine, just one place for all of us to go. That's what you meant. Okay, so only one place for heaven for all of us to go. I'd actually have to watch that video because most of the arguments center around Second Temple Judaism and heaven and hell that way, or that the New Testament writers just rolled with it. So I'd actually have to watch the video on it, to be honest. So I'm sorry, guys. I've got a and I know you could probably hear that sipping. I'm sorry. Oh yes, the DH. Yeah, right? Mobius with the jokes. Love it. Love it. There's so many problems with it, and it's not even that with the documentary hypothesis. The problem with the documentary about this is you have each scholar running their own version of it. So you get these varied dates, these various dates for the Old Testament. Whether they're high dates, whether they're low dates. Some say some of the Old Testament passages were early Iron Age. You have the Ketef Hinnom scrolls, which date to the 7th century, which means that the law was probably older than what they actually imagined. So that's problematic. What else? What else can I say about it? Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. So you've got so many scholars proposing so many theories about the dates of the Old Testament of each book, or even sections of the book. Then they're divided into the JEDP, the the Elohist, the Deuteronomist, the Yahwist, etc., and the priestly sources. Which is why Van Saders in the 70s was like, listen, there's a lot of problems with this. We should probably start looking at this the synthesis. The hypothesis as well, or at least bring that back, because that was also a 19th century theory, but it really gained a lot more traction with Van Saders in the late 70s. So if it's true, if the DH is true, it doesn't really present a problem with Christianity or even Judaism. It's more of an interpretation of when the Old Testament was written. So I rejected on several. One of the big things is that each scholar brings to the table their own version. But as far as its theological implications, I would say it's less likely for theological implications. I don't think it really affects Christianity that much. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be less likely. Absolutely. Andy Gone Wild, less likely. Less likely. I think one of the weaknesses is that Benjamin Noonan wrote a great article on the words in the Pentateuch, which seem to date the early Iron or the late Bronze Age. Excuse me. That and the fact that there's a lack of Persian words in the Pentateuch, which should date it to later in the Iron Age. So I think that's problematic. If it's true, there would be no way to really, yeah, what comes or from what document? Absolutely. And it's not like the Old Testament doesn't cite its sources. It's not like the writers of the Old Testament didn't cite their sources, because they actually did. They actually cited their sources. You got the Book of Yasher being one of them. Off the top of my head, I can't remember from where. I think it was in Joshua chapter 10. The writer in Joshua cites the Book of Yasher. You got the Book of Wars, all this and that. I'm sorry, guys. I got some in the back of my throat, too. Or the Book of the Wars of Yahweh. Yep. That's the one I'm referring to. So even like, so it's not like the writers didn't cite their sources, because they absolutely did when they could. So, and you can tell from which mythology or creation accounts they got it from too, like the Enuma Elish, the Tale of Atrahasis, etc. Especially with the opening chapters of Genesis, you see Mesopotamia. You even see a little Egypt in there with Yahweh speaking things into existence, which sort of mirrors the god Ptah in the Memphite theology in Egypt, where the craftsman deity Ptah speaks things into existence, as opposed to the Hermopolitan and the Heliopolitan creation accounts. You don't have to. You do not have to commit to the DH at all. I commit to the SH, actually, and its composition. It came about around the same time. Oh, man. So, Dr. Kip Davis, I actually follow him on Twitter. He follows me. I think I've had one or two interactions with him. One of them was about the Exodus and the dating. Someone tagged me in a thread on the Exodus, and I just gave a quick response. And this was about a month ago, actually. And he responded with, "Well, how does that square away with Exodus?" I forget the verse he quoted. And I just said, "Look, I'm just here. Someone tagged me in this, and I gave a quick response." So I'm preliminary thoughts. Since I really don't know him, except with all the drama he had with Falk over a year ago with Dr. Falk, and I know he interacts with a couple of other apologists um, online. So, but my preliminary thoughts are I'm rather indifferent to him right now. So I know who he is. He's a DSS scholar. Um, his thesis was on the Dead Sea Scrolls. I can't remember specifically. Yeah, I did notice in that thread. I didn't even respond, but I was get receiving messages, and he was going after. I think it was a couple of them. I forget who. I may have been SJ. Um, and then there were other people in that thread too that were going nuts too. There were some other people using ad homs as like no other in that one. I'm really trying to get this tickle out of my throat, guys. That's what I keep going to the coffee. I'm going to try and avoid it because I know no one wants to hear me slurp. So I know it's like so, but that's my first thoughts on him. Excluding all that stuff that happened. What was it, about a year ago? All that drama went down, and then oh yeah, and then with Sentinel with Rob, I did follow that a little bit. And they brought up Dr. S's book again on the anatomy of God, which, by the way, um, yes, okay. Before I get to that Mobius, yes, Manfred Bitag does date the Exodus to the 12th century. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a water because this may work. So, yeah, Rob wasn't doing us any favors as well, calling them cucks. That was interesting. But her book came up again, and I'm not a fan of her book. Just before anyone asks, not a fan of her book. I've read some of her articles that she's published, and they're in line with scholarship for the most part. She wrote an article on child sacrifice, and you have a black and tan. I'd rather have that, to be honest. Uh, but Dr. S wrote a couple of articles on child sacrifice in the Old Testament, and it was in line with mainstream scholarship, to be honest. But the book God Anatomy is just not. I personally don't think it's her best work. Um, so yeah, and I know about the whole Isaiah 6 thing too, which is out there. No, it's not great. Again, I've read some of her other articles, and there are people outside of Twitter and social media that have subscribed to her book as well. It's not just there in social media, but other people within the scholarly, biblical scholarly circles also subscribe to her book as well. So, yeah, it certainly didn't warrant Rob's language. It certainly did not warrant. I didn't like the use of words he had for Dr. Kip and a couple other people. So, it's definitely unwarranted in my opinion. So, but since then, it's been rather quiet. With her book, Dr. S's book, I'm assuming that's what you're asking. No, not really. To my knowledge, not a lot of people subscribe to the book. Um, Hold on, Landmark. I see your question. Um, so, do you think the Hebrew Bible, again, do you think the Hebrew Bible commits to God being male? Mark Smith thinks it's a little more vague than some make it out to be, but Lewis, I'm assuming, oh, that Lewis, Theodore Lewis is whom I think you think. I think it's a male God. A dirty apologies. I agree with Lewis. I'm really enjoying Lewis's book, by the way. It's been like 4 months because I've just been trying to create content and got work and then jobs and stuff. Um, for those of you who don't know Lewis, I'm assuming it's Theodore Lewis. He came out with a book on the character of God, and I'm loving his book. I'm on chapter 7, and I actually had to reread 2 or 3 chapters of the book, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And but yeah, I think on the lines of male, they probably it was a patriarchal society anyway. It was a patriarchal society anyway, so it makes sense. So, book recommendations about the DH. So, one of the big proponents of the DH, hey Slam, what's going on? One of the big proponents of the DH was Elliot Friedman. And he actually thinks there's an exodus on a much smaller scale. And his argument comes from onomastics and names and stuff. And he noticed a lot of names in uh, that were Egyptian came from the tribe of Levi or Levi, depending on how you say that. And they're the ones that brought Yahwism to the Levant. So he's a good proponent of the DH. Van Saters is not. Van Saters has departed from the DH. I mentioned his name earlier. He now holds to this the other one, the SH. So yeah, that's exactly what Mark Smith argues. They went more less gender. So in the that's another reason why I think the Pentateuch is older because it seems to be more male in the Pentateuch, whereas if you get to later Jewish literature, he becomes not androgynous. Maybe that's not the word, but not gendered, ungendered, let's say. So, um, yeah, I've got no problems with Smith's conclusion there at all. Yeah, yeah, you did. I got to rewatch that video too, man. But yeah, another thing the DH is that it wait, do most European scholars tilt to DH? They've departed from the DH. They've departed from the documentary hypothesis. Let's say that. They think we need to go back to the drawing board and then just start all over. Others, me included, kind of hold to the SH, which seems a bit better. I think the SH explains it a lot better. So most of the composition of the books of the Old Testament are still within the early Iron Age, or like early Iron Age and later. The Pentateuch is the only one that presents a real problem. Like I said, with Noonan, Benjamin Noonan came out with an article discussing the words, just the words in the Hebrew Bible in Exodus. I think the book of Exodus, he concluded, had the most Egyptian words in of the Pentateuch. Like they were Egyptian in origin. Like the word for linen in Hebrew is sesh, and it comes from an Egyptian word, and it means linen. It's called the um, synthesis hypothesis. Slam the synthesis hypothesis. Oh man, excuse me. I got this tickle, man. It's bothering me. Yeah, you talking about Smith Mobius? He pointed out they were of a certain time period. I think that's who you were talking about. You're welcome, Slam. No, no worries. No worries. For the newcomers, I am so sorry. This is on a phone. Once again, we're having problems with the upload speeds, and there seems to be some sort of bottlenecking issue on our computer. We're not sure why. My phone can handle a live stream. Why can't a computer who's a little more powerful handle it? So, and I had no problem with previous streams in the past where I was reading biblical Hebrew biblical Hebrew throughout the book of Genesis. So it's really, I want to say disheartening and discouraging to know that the computer cannot handle it, but the phone can. I have not read Baucham's book on that, Shiru. Thank you for the recommendation. I will be reading that. Currently, I'm reading the Character of God by Theodore Lewis, and I'm reading New Testament use of the Old Testament. So, Egyptian loan occurrences in the corpora of other. Okay. Okay, Benjamin. Or Dark Blade. Okay. Yeah, that's a quote from him. Yep. Thank you for that, Dark Blade. Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. Uh, what is the biggest problem with the early date Exodus? For one, I'm going to be friendly here. Um, the problem with the early date Exodus, one of the big problems I have with it is they think that Pi Ramesses is older. Egyptologists have discovered that the Pi Ramesses that we understand it to be today was built during the 19th dynasty in Egypt. Bring out the pitchfork. So they think that it came out, or the city was built during the 19th dynasty. The early daters want to argue that it's older than that and that this is just one stratum, so that there's another strata underneath. And since Marvin Beatock, I think he's at that site, or at least he's at Avaris. Um, yeah, I want to say he's at least at Avaris. He says there isn't one. So, not really sure why. He says that. The early daters make that a big deal. You know, another problem is that they try to pinpoint it. They're fixated on the 40 years for some reason, which is just an expression for a really, really, really long time. But they want to pinpoint and say, no, 40 years. 40 means 40, kind of deal. And yes, I will get to the Mount Ebal question. I see that. Another problem is that you see this population decline in the late Bronze Age in the Levant. So this population decline in the Levant, and then all of a sudden, at the tail end of the late Bronze Age, or in the early Iron Age, there's a population explosion in the hill country. Excuse me. So you've got this population explosion in the hill country. And there isn't one at the time the early daters think that there is. Another reason is that there's no destruction layer in 1446 at Jericho. Those are just some of them off the top of my head. Now, as far as the Mount Ebal inscription, I think it's a fish weight, to be honest. I think it's a fish weight. And that's just pareidolia on the fish weight. They just think that they see Hebrew letters on there. So that's what I think of the Mount Ebal. What was it? The Urim and Thummim. We honestly just don't know about the Urim and the Thummim too much. In Exodus. That is a good question. I can bring that up right now on my Logos. Unfortunately, I cannot share the screen. That was the hope and dreams and wishes of me tonight, was to do that. So I will bring this up here. You said Exodus 40, or Exodus 4, excuse me. There we go. We're going to scroll down here. So, okay, so I'll begin with Exodus 4, verse 24. I think I got the right. In Exodus 4:20, I'm sorry. So I'll start with verse 20. It says, so Moses took his wife and his sons and had them ride on a donkey and went back to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the staff of God in his hand. And the Lord said to Moses, when you go back to Egypt, see that you do before Pharaoh all the miracles that I have put in your power, but I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. Then you shall say to Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, Israel is my firstborn son, and I say to you, I have no idea why my throat's acting up. Let my son go that he may serve me. If you refuse to let him go, behold, I will kill your firstborn. I will unalive your firstborn, excuse me. And then at a lodging place on the way, the Lord met him and sought to put him to death. And then Zipporah took a flint, blah, blah, blah. So, your question was, where did Moses send his wife and kids? And it sounds like he was with them. It sounds like he's with them, in my opinion. Yeah. I don't think they ever left his side. Did he really, Mobius? I should know that. He probably takes it literally too. Endigon, what is your soteriology? I'm still kind of working on that. I think with my video on James White, I did not expect that to go viral as it did. I thought only certain people would. I really don't hold to a systematic theology as far as soteriology is concerned. I'm still. Oh, you're good. Position, yeah. So I don't really hold to one as far as Arminianism or provisionism or anything. I certainly I when I did get saved, I was part of a church that claimed to be Arminian but had several Calvinists in there. So I never really, and I read a couple of James White's books. I didn't read Potter's Field. I did research it a lot for that video though. Um, I read one. He did a debate with Dave Hunt. I read they converted that into a book. If you can believe that. Read through that. My brother-in-law was hardcore into Calvinism because he thought Arminians painted the God of the Hebrew Bible, or at least the God of Christianity, was weak and pleading for people to come to him. So when I was initially saved, I thought that was really weak. Excuse me. So I just decided to become a Calvinist because of that, but I never really researched it. So I guess it was a surface level Calvinism, but not actually delving into what I believed at the time until I started going to seminary and stuff. So, um, yeah, I don't really hold to one now. So, which was what I found interesting. I think Tyler Veda, I think was his name. Is that his name, guys? Um, when he came on, he commented on the video and said I was biased. I thought that was unusual considering I don't hold to a systematic theology at all. So, the one who converted out of Christianity, yeah. That's the guy. I have not, Pablo. That's an interesting theory that the Romans wrote the Gospels. I have not heard that theory. But neither. What Zial 82. What do you mean by neither is a perfect understanding of God? Oh, you mean the systematic theology? You mean the theologies? Okay, I've got you. I've got you. Yeah, which was really weird. Endigon. Israel was an apartheid state. It was really weird. Um, Certainly not nothing that we see in South Africa. Certainly not. Um, Term for a sizable cluster of people. So I think the term there, are we going, Slam? Are you talking about the word elef, which can mean thousand or military unit? Yeah. I think that's what you mean. So, um, I think the word yeah, okay, I see your previous, I didn't see your previous comment, Slam. Yeah. So I take elef to mean a military unit. Oop, my dog. You probably hear my dog. Hey, lonely guy. Welcome to the chat. On OT violence. Off the top of my head, let's go with the Midianites because that comes up a lot because you hear God like the Midianites ran after the Israelites, or at least the mixed multitude. And it seems like from the text that they actually went after the women and children and the men as well. So later on, you see God sort of do a lex talionis against the Midianites. That's usually the one that comes up all the time. As far as that's concerned, it seems like God was judging the Midianites based on their own judgment, which if so, God was measuring out the judgment the Midianites caused on them and their violence. He met them where they were with violence. So I think that's what's going on. As far as I think, what is that? Numbers? Was that Numbers 31? Look it up. Yeah, that was in Numbers 31 is the passage I'm talking about. Numbers 31, and the vengeance on the Midians, or the Midianites, however you decide to say it. Military, yes, he did. He did take the view of a military unit, Slam. Or Thousand in Chief, yep. Mobius, uh-huh. And it's funny because in Ugaritic, the word for Aleph is Alap, and it can also mean 1,000. But it can we theoretically think it can also mean military unit as well. It could possibly have that meaning. Don't quote me on that because we know very little about the Ugaritic language. We've only known it for 90 years compared to Akkadian, Egyptian, Hebrew, even, and Greek. So I'd have to check Hunagard again to figure that one out, though. Yeah, and it wasn't the yes. Good point, Darkblade. Good point. Yeah, it wasn't the all of the Midianites. It was probably one tribe of Midianites. Absolutely. I have checked into it. I haven't read the book, but I do know about the two powers in heaven. Thanks to the late great Dr. Heiser, and Alan's work there. I need to probably buy the book. Because I want to read it, but I've checked it out. I think I've read a couple of book reviews on it. So, and I actually like it. So, I will definitely be reading that in the future. So, okay. Hopefully this throat thing goes away soon. I hope I'm not coming down with anything too. That would suck. I'm trying to think. Did I miss any questions? I don't think I did. So, um, oh, you added more to this. So interesting. Okay. Yep. Yes, it's here. It is in full form. Right here. Here's the beard. So, not allowed to shave it at all. I just got to trim it. Actually, it needs a trim. I got to trim it. I trimmed it like a week ago, but it needs one again. So, yep. Contact. Yeah. Absolutely, Slam. You are correct. So that was one of the first things that led me out of early date Exodus was meeting Falk in Atlanta. I'm not sure if I shared this story on the last live stream. There is a divine law. I'll get into the 1 second, Lonely. I'll answer that question. So one of the other things that led me out of the early date Exodus was meeting Falk, and we talked about the Exodus and stuff, and I brought up ABR to him and Dr. Brian Wood, and he immediately was like, Dr. Brian Wood sees what he wants to see. And we talked about that for a bit, especially about the ceramics and pottery. And I left that, it was an Egyptology conference too. And I left thinking, okay, this is unusual. I thought the early date Exodus was set in stone, and it wasn't. After I found out, I raced home. When I got home, I found James White's book, or not James White's, I found James Hoffmeier's books, Dr. Hoffmeier's books, read both of them, and then I found Reliability of the Old Testament because it cited it. Hoffmeier cited it, so I read that, and then after that was all she wrote. Now, getting back to the beard, yes, there is a divine law. I'm not allowed to shave it. For two reasons. For two reasons. It's an interesting statement, Slam. I didn't know Stripling himself argued about it. One is I work with children who have autism, and if I shave my face, if I shave the beard, there is going to be kind of a backlash from them. If I were to shave it over the summer and then come back in the new year for the school year, it would be okay. They would probably ask about the beard if they recognize my voice and everything, which they should. So that's possible. That's one thing. Another reason is my wife. She says I look better with the beard, so I'm not going to argue that. So, so getting back to this, the beard, yeah. So Stripling talked you out of an older date, especially due to his reason for it. Slam, what was his reason? I'm interested to know. Contrived. What was his reason, though? It was never stripling. I didn't know about stripling until later. No, no, yeah, right. You guys know about Kronk and the no, no, wait. She has a point. It's that kind of meme. Yeah, me too. I'm old. I'm old. Slam. No worries. All right. For me, it was Falk. Falk just like he sat me down. We sat down. We actually had lunch over it, and he just walked me through it. And like, this is why. This is why. This is why. And I went home puzzled and confused. I had further questions, and and then Hoffmeyer answered them. So the next time I saw him was a couple of years later in Tucson, and I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Hoffmeyer and Kitchen and the whole shebang." And I've been in late date Exodus. Now I think B Talk dates it too late. Someone mentioned it earlier about B Talk and his 12th century date. I'm just drinking coffee and water, man. There is something in the back of my throat that's tickling the back of my throat, and I cannot get rid of it. Cannot. Of course, it happens right now when I'm streaming, and not 2 hours ago. So, I'm also refraining from alcohol today because yesterday, I'm not sure if you guys are soccer fans at all, but Dortmund eliminated Atletico Madrid yesterday, and I've been on a high, like not high, but on a high all day. So yeah. So, um, I guess, I love coffee anyway. I'm more of a coffee drinker than anything. Love it. So, Cooley, welcome to the live stream. Unfortunately, we're back on the phone because of slow upload speeds and bottlenecking, apparently. So we were only able to do it on the phone this time. Cider vinegar? Okay. I will do it. The Merneptah Steely. He does? That's unusual for him. I thought he'd take that in consideration. Wonder what his reasons are for rejecting it or just not taking that. That seems unusual, especially for him. So I'm going to start the goal was to start a live stream lonely. The goal was to start a live stream called the Old Testament Chronicles, and I did one episode on my phone for the same reason I'm doing it now. But for different reasons here. So my computer, we actually ran all the tests. We ran the download speed test, the upload speed test, and the download speeds were fun, but the upload speeds were like a 2, and they should have been at a 10. Like they should have been like mid, but they're like here at like 2 or something. So we don't know what's bottlenecking it. We tried yesterday, we tried the day before. I even tried for hours on end. One day we have no idea. So we either need a new computer, but the live streams were fine when I was reading through Genesis in Hebrew. You get those on my channel, by the way. I read all 50 chapters in Hebrew. The live streams were fine. But for some reason, as of late, can't do it. So, yeah, right? It's possible, but I'm still not getting rid of the beard. Sorry. So Mobius says, not all the Egyptian towns that remained in Egyptian hands until 1140. Yeah. True. The port of Avaris was lasted until about, what, 1130? Like, the city was gone, but the port still remained on the Pelusiac branch of the Nile, so. Yeah. Yes, the wonders of technology. What kills me is my wife's a great tech. Praises to her, because, yeah. Hey, Devin, what's going on? What's going on? I hope your evening is good to you tonight. So, what else? It may not have been. We're not sure. Yeah. The whole archaeology in Israel, for most part, is confusing and befuddling. So, um, you get certain ones that are fine, and then certain sites like Jericho is a mess. Um, they had to stop their live stream yesterday due to YouTube. Falk was having trouble yesterday streaming the game. I was in there. I kept sending message after message, and it wasn't even going through yesterday. That's how bad. I had to send it like 6 times, and it would come back an error each time. So um, I had to resend it and then resend it. And then I kept getting the message, only subscribers can send messages. I'm like, I've been subscribed to him for over a year, man, for 2 years. What do you mean I have to be a subscriber? So, but that's interesting that Cameron even and David Wood had to, Dr. Wood had to stop streaming. Okay. May not be me. Yeah, naughty YouTube again. I wonder if my wife took that in consideration. She may not have known about that YouTube stuff yet. That may be okay. Well, I didn't want to cancel the stream tonight because I canceled like the second episode of Old Testament Chronicles. I'm like, no, I'm not. We're doing this. We're going live. I forget that guy's name on Fox News that did that one time. We'll do it live. But yeah, I didn't want to cancel tonight. I was like, I kept thinking, no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. So here we are. Hardest. Egyptian hieroglyphs were not bad. Akkadian is a bit more difficult. As far as Japanese is concerned, hopefully, is Darkblade still here? Hopefully he is. Kanji is a pain. Bill O'Reilly, thank you, Zyle. Kanji is a pain, though. Kanji's a pain. I've like part of like 3 or 4 different Facebook groups to help you learn kanji because most of the signs should be like Yamu, I think, is mountain in Japanese, which is confusing for me anyway because Yam in Hebrew is sea and Yamu is sea in Ugaritic, so that's challenging for me anyway. But Yamu is mountain for Japanese, and if you look at the kanji, it's supposed to look like a mountain. So, definitely Akkadian cuneiform and kanji are the worst. As far as the worst ones, I'd have to say cuneiform because just because of the strokes and the signs look similar. Some of them do, not all of them. Some of them are just completely different, but most of the time the signs are just crazy. Once you get to the normalization of the signs, then Akkadian, not a problem, since it's an East Semitic language, as opposed to Northwest Semitic, which is Hebrew and Aramaic and Ugaritic. So, you still got the derived stems and everything. So, it took you. Wow, Yiddish. That's cool. That's a language I don't know. Yeah, right. It's very vague. The plagues that are described in the Exodus, even the events leading up to it, um, are vague. The plagues, they all happen, with the exception of hail, maybe. Hail does happen in Egypt, but it's rarer as opposed to locusts. The Egyptians believed in magic, and they would try and work magic. So when you get to Exodus 7, I think, and there's this battle between the Egyptian magicians and Aaron and Moses and Aaron. The Egyptians would have considered that normal. Is the funny thing because of the magic. The Exodus itself, there's something called the wind set down theory, and I think I've mentioned it. Falks mentioned it. The wind set down theory, which does happen in the lakes region there in Egypt, where the wind takes away the water, and then that can go on for all night, and then all of a sudden the wind will stop and the water recedes, which is probably what happened. Even the quail, They've discovered that quail will, in the evening, um, land and actually, yeah. So that's another one. There are two main types of ways. Which one would you recommend, Dark? The Chinese way or the native reading, the Japanese native reading, I would imagine. The Trojan War, um, what was that? They think 12th century? Or at least Homer's epic seems to pinpoint it then. Yeah, Mobius, yeah. I think Hoffmeyer touched on one of his books about the quail would come in the evening, and I'm not sure if you can see this today in the cyanide, but back then it would happen regularly. So, yeah. As far as the Trojan War is concerned, though, I think most classicists think it did happen, albeit, the gods warring and stuff. No, but like they think it actually happened. Oh, okay, coolly. Passage by Dionysius. Oh, in Dionysius. I've got you. Okay. I thought you were talking. Okay. I'll have to look that up then. Yiddish is like German. I actually know German fluently, so that's interesting. But with Hebrew characters, yeah. Does Yiddish have the declining system, like the remnant from um, Old German? Because all languages, like Old English, used to have a declension system. Old English had it. I think Old German had it. Old Norwegian, all the old languages. Nice, Slam. Love it. I thought about doing like a live stream, but as far as German's concerned, I was like, no one would know what I'm saying. So, or at least do a video on it, like create content or something in German. But again, no one would really. I mean, you got the closed captioned, I guess, but yes, the fall of the quail is what he's talking about. A fish fowl? No, they are definitely a bird of some type. But oh, dark blade here. So is used for words that are just. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. That may be easier. It's better than just writing repetitively all the time and then forgetting it. Good night, Zyle. God bless, bro. Sleep well. Um, I thought Dutch was easy, honestly. When I learned German, my German teacher was like Dutch. If you know German, because English obviously, but if German, once you get German down, if you go to Dutch, it shouldn't be too difficult. Plus, there's not a case system. You got the remnants of a case system in Dutch, but you only have two words for the de and het. So you have common nouns and neuter nouns in Dutch, and it kind of makes it easier. You don't have to worry about um, you don't have to worry about nouns declining so much. You just have to memorize singular and plural nouns. There's no accusative or dative. And the genitive, they use van most of the time, van, like the German von. Dutch took a while for me as far as pronunciation. I still don't know Dutch fluently, so don't worry. It's not like I don't, but I still try and read and everything. Yeah, Yiddish does have a case. Yeah, it is Darkblade. I think it's harsher than German too. It's definitely harsher language than German, I think. Drunk German. I had someone say it's mispronounced German. Someone told me one time that Dutch is mispronounced German. Straight up. So you don't hear it too often, especially since almost majority of Dutch speakers know English fluently. I even had someone one time ask me why on God's green earth would you learn Dutch? Because I love languages. I don't know how to properly answer that. Swedish is drunk Norwegian. I love watching the videos. I'll watch a couple of videos occasionally of Scandinavian languages, and at least the funny ones, the comedic ones. Like the word, I saw one recently about the word for dragon in Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, and then they had someone speaking Finnish, which isn't even part of that sub branch, that sub language family. Finnish is its own thing. And apparently in Danish now, unless I got some Danish speakers here, the word for dragon in Danish uses a Y, or it's a G spelling, but it's pronounced like a Y. And then you get to the Finnish word for dragon, and it makes no sense. Makes no sense. I think it would be. It would be. Since I've kind of branched out from IE languages into Semitic languages, and now I'm into the Japo-Ryukyuan language family, which is a very small language family Darkblade would know about. Um, and unfortunately, the Japonic languages are kind of dying out because Japanese is so dominant in the region, which kind of sucks. Why would God pick people like Abraham, Isaac, Aaron, Daniel, etc., etc.? You pass to pass his message, I imagine, is what you mean. No, that's all right for the broad question. I don't know why he would choose them. Impartiality, maybe. I think impartiality has something to do with he just chose them based on impartiality. Um, with a potato in each cheek. That's funny. I've never heard that described that way. That's great. A potato in each cheek. Love it. So, um, I occasionally hear Danish spoken. Um, but I cannot tell. Sometimes I confuse them because I just don't hear them enough. As far as Norwegian, Danish, and Swedish now, if you're a native speaker of Norwegian, for you, it's just like, I don't know, go into the store, like it's easy, but go into the shops or something. But yeah, I was gonna say to you, it's obvious. I actually struggle with it. Even if you add Icelandic to the mix, I can recognize it's a Scandinavian language, but that's it. If I heard it more often, I could probably decipher which language is which, though. So, um, one of the things I find funny with the reconstructed pronunciations of Semitic languages like Ugaritic, Akkadian, um, etc., is Akkadian sounds like a bunch of shush shush shush, like a sh sound, whereas Hebrew it's guttural. Ugaritic it's a bit guttural and stuff when I read it. Um, so so spoken sheepish is easier to understand than Danish. I prefer Danish. Oh, Swedish! I thought that was a joke against this. I thought you were making a joke against the Swedish. That's hilarious. That you should have rolled with the joke, Lonely. Should have just said, "Oh yeah, spoken sheepish." The most difficult. I've heard that before, Slam. That Icelandic is the most difficult of the Scandinavian languages. I've heard that too. So, and the tonal differences. Yeah, it reminds me of the tonal differences. Spoken sheepish. Well, we'll refer to spoken sheepish as Swedish now. Or Swedish is spoken sheepish. That's great. Um, so because of it, it's so tonal. So it's kind of like it's kind of like the Asian languages, like Chinese, Thai, Laotian, etc. Okay, because I know they have tonal differences too. Japanese, I think, is somewhat tonal. Actually, I think it is. It's not somewhat, it is. Yep, I have. Yes, correct. Darkblade. I've heard that too. It definitely has a reputation of evolving the least and changing the least. So whereas English and German and the Romance languages and the Germanic languages and the other Scandinavian languages have like evolved and changed over the centuries. So I don't know if you guys follow Metatron. I think is his name. He knows Japanese fluently and teaches it, I think. He did a review of Shogun actually and raved about it. Even the Japanese he said was just on par. Like he said, he goes he said he was a bit pedantic about the show, or at least his language concerns, because he would translate certain things differently. But on the whole, he raved about it. So if you guys haven't watched Shogun, it's on Hulu. Watch it. Um, I loved it. Already watched. There are only 8 episodes. Watch the whole thing. No, no, not Metatron the Angel. No, 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 no. Um, I think that's is Metatron. It's funny because I subscribe to him and I watch him occasionally when you go live and brain fart things like Bill O'Reilly. I should have known it was Bill O'Reilly. So, um, but yeah, Shogun's pretty good show. I watched. He commented other things about the period pieces like fighting styles and everything, and it was fantastic. He did the whole shebang. So I thought it was a good show, and then it was pretty cool to hear from him and say, yeah, it's a pretty good show, and most of the stuff in the show is period. So um, if you guys are into Japanese culture and the language itself, go for it. Check it out. It's pretty cool. Um, Unlike Netflix's series, which kind of are lackluster. Um, yeah, Cleopatra for me on Netflix was just the worst. I couldn't even get past the first episode. Couldn't get past the first episode. Alexander, The Making of a God. I watched 1 episode of that, and maybe I should just rewatch it without the reviews, and then watch the reviews after. But I did not. Slam where is it still available? Is it on YouTube? Like, as free documentary, or is it like Netflix, Hulu, Disney? I don't think it'd be on Disney. It's usually Hulu or Netflix. Shogun's on Hulu, by the way, so it's like, um, I think I've heard this documentary before on someone learning Icelandic for 2 weeks. So it is on YouTube. I think I have heard this. He wasn't like fluent, obviously, but he could speak it rather well. Oh, okay, good. Oh, good. It's free on YouTube. Excellent. Because I got no muns. That's why. Oh, geez, lonely. Oh my gosh. So I'm a Trinitarian. Let's just get that out of the way. I'm not sure if I could answer your question though. Um, as far as what binitarianism, I'm not so sure if I could answer that. I have to do some research on that. I'm sorry, bro. He also memorizes PI. Oh, never mind. I got you though. It should be a simple question. No, I'll let you know. I mean, I'm a Trinity or Trinitarian. So, fully God, fully man. Jesus was, as far as God the Father, God the Son, and then God the Holy Spirit. Is there a hierarchy concerned in that? I think that's debated as far as a hierarchy. I think there's a bit of a hierarchy with the Father at the top, Son second, and the Holy Spirit third. Hopefully, I'm answering your question in somewhat of a simple way. I reject Nestorianism, which I think is something like Diophyticism, which is what is that? 50% God and 50% human. Jesus was 50% God and 50% human, as opposed to 100% God and 100% human, put forth by Athanasius, which was, I think, part of the result of the Council of Constantinople in 381 AD. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what spurred it. The Council of Constantinople in 381. The Council of Nicaea in 320. I'm trying to get my councils right. So the Council of Nicaea was in 325. I yeah, 50-50 is not a good way of I agree. It's not. Yeah, it's just not. But I get your point. So, yeah. I think that was debated at the Council of Constantinople in 381. Because the Council of Nicaea, towards the beginning of that century, was all about Arianism and what, God was not, Jesus was not a created being. So, hit me up with theology questions. I like it. Because I need to know more about it. I've been focusing way too much on language and history of the Old Testament for far too long. 50 God from the waist up. Yeah. That's funny. Love it. So, I should definitely read up on the church fathers more. I'm kind of embarrassed to say I don't really read too much on church history of the church fathers, and I even have a collection of church history. I got 2 volumes of church history, textbook form, unfortunately. So it's a very dry read. Aren't they all though? I had to read that when I was in seminary. We went through both textbooks, church history 1 and 2. So you're a conditionalist, Sam, as far as the doctrine of hell, or yeah. I'm not ECT for those people who wanted to know. I am not eternal conscious torment. I'm certainly not a universalist either, though, but which leaves the other option, conditionalism. But so that's where I stand on hell, if you guys were curious. Do you think the Mesopotamians were relieved at Akkadian being gradually replaced by Aramaic? I don't think so, since that was their native language. Do you think they were sad or relieved? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I've been studying for a couple of years, Slam. That's the same reason. To answer Dark Blade's question, I don't think they were relieved because that was their native language. As far as Aramaic, it became the lingua franca in the 8th century afterwards, and it was part of the Western Persian Empire, whereas Persian was the lingua franca of the East Persian Empire. Honestly, I don't think they were relieved because it was their native language. It was really easy. It would be like Americans if English lost out on being a lingua franca of the day. I think Americans in the English and British English, over in the UK, the English would sort of be sad about it. I mean, it's going to happen one day because it'll happen one day. So I don't know to what though. Oh, how old I am? I'm not young. Let's say that I'm not young anymore. Close. 40, 42, bud. 42. 42. I'll be 43 at the end of summer. Mid-August, so. Yep. I kind of like this age. You turned 70 last year? Wow. I get that a lot, Lonely. I also get the kind, they think I could pass for 27, 28. If I shave, no younger than 25. If I were to shave, it'd be a bit different, but yes, thank you, Slam. Thank you. Oh, man. But don't worry, the beer's not going anywhere. Now that I mention it again, not going anywhere. 70 years young. Yeah, buddy. So, anyway, I really haven't got anything else. No, you're good, Andy. That's all right. That's all right. We'll go on for a little bit longer, and then we'll cut the stream. Thank you, Dr. Falk, for that. I appreciate it. Again, for the newcomers coming in again, Falk, this was supposed to be on the computer. We're having problems with upload speeds still and bottlenecking. We ran a diagnostic on it. The download speeds were fine, but the upload speeds were like 2. I don't know. The meter was supposed to be mid, and it's not. So, and it's interesting because our phones do the upload speeds just fine, but the computer for some reason is not cooperating, to say the least. It's not cooperating. So we had to do the phone. I didn't want to cancel, so but I did watch your stream last night for the Assassin's Creed, and a lot of people were complaining it's YouTube, so it's probably YouTube's problem as well for tonight. So thank you, Lonely. Thank you. Less than 700, yeah. Actually, my son will love this. My son, you said when it was less than 70, literally drew an award. You'll see the 690 subs right there. Let's put it over here. Yep, see the 690? He made that when I reached almost 700. He made me a little award for that. So it's going to be in the background of all my videos from now on. And when I create videos, it's going to be in the background. Can't see it now, of course, but so it's always going to be in view. It's always going to be in view. Ah, no, my little man. So it's not leaving until he makes a new one. If he makes a new one, then I might just add to it. I'm not going to take it away. I'm not going to take it down. I'm going to add to. So yeah, I was excited. He did it. He made more, but we've lost them, unfortunately. But this one, he redid it and then gave it to me. So it's been in the background for a couple of videos. I think my fat head or the chair may have been blocking it, but I try to keep it in view. So, yeah. Can't wait for him to make a new one. But yeah, 1,000 subs. I thought it would have taken a lot longer. But I'm kind of happy we did it. So we'll see. The goal now is 5,000. So the goal is 5,000 subs. So, and getting this live stream working, so we don't do it on the phone. So. So the future plans, I'm still gonna stick to the Old Testament and do nerdy language stuff. I've got a video after I do the series on the Netflix series Testament, the story of Moses. I've got Psalm 22 verse 16 lined up. We're gonna talk about the text critical issue on Psalm 22 verse 16. Um, I've got the with the live stream gets up, we're going to continue the Old Testament Chronicles, episode 2. The topic will still be Joseph chapters, the whole Joseph account. So Genesis 37 through 50. Daniel, I think I mentioned the last live stream. Daniel is still there. We're going to talk about the date of Daniel in a live stream. That might be a little further out, though. So that's what I've got coming up. I'm now in the top 8.9% of YouTube channels. Okay. Great. I never thought I'd be in the top 0.89%. Okay. What else? I had. So yeah, the next Old Testament Chronicles is going to focus on Joseph. The next episode here, the next Old Testament academic video will be episode 2 of the Netflix series, Testament Story of Moses. It's about the plagues. That's all I'm going to tell you if you guys haven't watched it. With awesome beards. You can't find a better beard in the top 8.9% than here. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. I know you can't see it. There it is in its entirety and beauty again. Never mind the gray hairs there though. But that's what I got upcoming on the channel. So Saturday, Sunday, be on the lookout for Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to release episode 2. And once I finish episode 3, he's got to be in the top 0.1. So, excellent. Yes, I don't see any either. Don't see any either. Like the way you're thinking. So, yeah, that's what I got coming up over the summer. I will take recommendations on things you guys want to see as well. Like I said, I already got Psalm 22. I have been told I look like PewDiePie. Yes. I get the PewDiePie occasionally. So, it's pretty cool. I don't even know what he does now, if he's still making content or anything. I would imagine he is, just not on the grander scale. Yes, I'm not going to forget the cider vinegar. Not going to forget the cider vinegar. I got to buy some cider and vinegar, though. Actually, I'm going to check first, because we may have a huge jug of it. Yes, we are. He's Swedish, though. He is Swedish, I think. Problem for me is I'm half English and half German. So, like 60-40. It's not 50-50. It's more like 60-40 English and 40 German. So, 3 times daily? Okay. Because I can't miss work. That's another thing. It's like I can't call it work, so it's like I wonder if it's one of these kids that gave it to me too. Like if it progresses, that would be bad. That would be bad. Oh, you're German and English as well, Mobius? I mean, that's all I am is German and English. There's like no indigenous people. There's nothing like that. It is straight up English and German. So, and the German goes back 3 generations. Like I'm only 3rd generation German. So, we still have contact with the family over there. Actually, I talked to them yesterday about or this morning about the soccer match yesterday. So, as far as English, I think I'm 4th or 5th generation English. So we've lost contact with the family on the island. So, and my last name's English. My mother's maiden name is German. So, yeah. Right? We already knew the family in Germany, so it was really easy to contact them because my great grandfather left all these letters And it was really easy. I When my great grandfather died in the 90s, like the early 90s, he had this stash of letters. And so I found one. There was an address on it. Wrote a letter, old fashioned style letter. This is like 2004. Wrote a letter, sent it, got a reply 2 months, 2 or 3 months later from not the addressee, but from someone else in the family. And he listed his contact info, and I contacted him. And then ever since that, we corresponded several times. And then I asked him if, hey, I can we can meet up sometime. We're over there. He was like, yeah, sure. So we met up. So I had to re-establish contact with him. That was the coolest thing. So I flew over there and met him, met his family, met the family, like the greater family and everything. It was the coolest thing. Cooley, ja, ich kann sehr gut Deutsch, gar kein Problem. Also für mich, deutsche Sprache ist sehr leicht zu sprechen im Vergleich zu Spanisch oder Niederländisch oder Schwedisch. So yeah, I speak German fluently. It's a lot easier than compared to my Spanish, Dutch. I don't know Swedish, so don't even think if I know Swedish. So that's where I am. Sorry, lonely. Oh wait, no, no, you know Norwegian. Never mind. Uh, yeah, I figured I was gonna have to. So, Dankeschön. That one I don't have to translate. I hope. Ja, ich auch. So, um, I would love to like create like content in German, but like I said, most of my listeners are English. I think I get like 2% are German, and the rest is like English, UK, Canada, and America. So no room to speak German. So I don't even know a word in Swedish. Um, what? Maybe at 10K. Oh, you mean do a German like live stream, like entirely in German at 10K? We could probably do that. Yes, it is Dark Blade. Yeah, that was one of the advantages I had going into this field before I switched from Egyptology to biblical studies. And yeah, yeah, Dr. Falk's right. Most Germans know English anyway. Um, and they're willing to practice their English as well, so it's not like they hide it. But that was one of the advantages I had going when I wanted to go into Egyptology and before I switched it over to biblical studies was that I already knew German and French. So I could already read the literature. Now I still have to pass the exams when I get into the PhD program, but yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult. Hopefully not. So we'll see how those exams are. Might be torture. Yeah, right? Lonely be like, put in closed captions. Are the exams in the languages optional? Southeastern, where I was gonna have to take the exam. I had to choose between the German and French one for the language exam at Southeastern. So it's interesting that they would be like optional or not even included now. Kind of wish they were. I mean, well, you know this, Falk. Like some of the biblical studies programs are parting ways with the languages, which is pathetic. It's sad. Um, really now? Oh, that I didn't know. Southeastern, we're going to force you to do the language exams, though. You had to choose between German and French at Southeastern. And I told the lady that ran the THM program there that I'll do German hands down. because it was easier for me. So, but it fell through. So, Fuller Theological Seminary. I did not apply there. I don't even think. Shoot, is that accredited? I know some of these seminaries you got to be careful because most of them aren't even accredited. Um, like Columbia University is not accredited. Gordon Cornwall is. I don't even think Gordon Cornwall is accredited. So accredited universities and seminaries, it's more advantageous to be accredited. And your degree, oh, it is accredited. Okay, I wasn't sure. So universities and seminaries, for the most part, it's a standard they have to meet, and if you meet that standard, then you're accredited. That's all. That's all accreditation means is they have to meet a government. I think it's a government standard to be accredited. And some seminaries are just not accredited to be verified. Yeah. Similar at Liverpool, they just assumed you knew. Really? At University of Liverpool in UK? I didn't know that. I wonder if Manchester is the same way, University of Manchester, with their Egyptology program. Oh, it's non-governmental quality. Okay. I thought it was governmental controlled. Okay, governmental quality control. Okay. All right. Oh, my phone's about to die, guys. I'm gonna have to wrap it up here in a minute because I'm at 18% on my phone. So, but yeah, okay. I did not know about that accreditation stuff. So, I just knew it's beneficial to be accredited. I know, right? Hey, if we're on the computer, we could still do it. I'd rather be on the computer because we could go through my logos, we go through the Hebrew, we go through the Greek. I could show you guys what it reads in the Hebrew, what it reads in the Greek, and everything. But unfortunately, I cannot do that unless I can do a split screen live on my phone because I do have logos on my phone. But I don't think you guys want to see me my fingers and stuff. If I actually switch the charger, I have to unplug my audio. So unless I have a microphone, which is in the works, by the way, in the coming weeks, to get a standalone microphone. Yeah, not the fingers. So when I get the standalone microphone or the selfie stick for phone, yeah. Oh, it is only 8? Okay. Then I can just plug it in and then, I'm good to go. So, but I'm going to have to actually stop it here so it doesn't get that strange cutoff. Where it just cuts off. So I want to thank you guys. Get him the stick. I want to thank you guys for coming. It's been a real treat. I never thought that I would get to 1,000 subscribers the way I did in the first year. I thought it would have taken years, especially about topics like the Old Testament. I'm happy to know that there is a niche of people who are into the Old Testament. It's one reason why I got on here was because everyone does New Testament stuff. It's like the New Testament's inundated with New Testament scholars. So I do not. I have almost 2,000 hours of view time as of, I think, like the 9th or 10th of April. So I've almost 2,000 watch hours, according to YouTube, as of it's like the 10th, 11th, or 12th. So, but anyway, guys, gonna have to let you guys go. Thank you guys for coming. Cheers to Islam. So, I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully we get Old Testament Chronicles up and running soon. So, bye guys. Bis später.